Firstly, we will download Python from the official website. We will go to the link. If you are on Mac, you can download Python from this page. But if you are on Windows, you can simply download the latest version for Windows by pressing download Python. Once it's downloaded, we can run it. Add Python to path and install now. Once it's downloaded, you will have a successful message. Once it's downloaded, open up CMD, write down Python, and you will have a similar page to this one. Your Python version will be more likely to the same version that you downloaded, but since I'm using an older version, it's showing 3.10.5. You can simply exit this page by writing exit. On this page, you can execute Python commands such as print I, x equal 1, y equal 2, z equal x plus y, print z. When it comes to IDE, my favorite IDE is Visual Studio Code. So we go to Visual Studio Code and simply download it for Windows. If you are on Mac, you can download it from here, and if you are on a Ubuntu system, you can download it from here. When download is done, we run the executable file, accept, next, and install. When the installation is done, open Visual Studio, go to extension, write down Python, and install the package. We wait for the package. After installing the package, now you can simply run Python scripts directly from the IDE. Python can be used directly from CMD if you are on Windows, or from terminal on Mac and Unix systems. Now, if I open up CMD, type down Python, I can now simply start writing my code. So for example, if I write down print 1, it will print 1. If I specify that x equal 2, y equal 1, print x plus y, I will get 3. And if I want to exit, I simply write exit, open a bracket, close a bracket. You can also run Python from CMD directly. So I have this main.py, I type down print number 1, I open the directory, CMD. If you want to run the main.py, you simply type down Python main.py. And if you are using Python 3, you type down Python 3 main.py. One of the simplest scripts in Python, which you may already know, is print open string hello world. Run it. You simply get the output as shown. You can also print numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Print numbers this way, and you can print number this way. As you can see, it's the same result, but to show you the difference between printing number with a string and without string, let's suppose we have number 1 plus 1 in here, we get 2. But if 1 is in a string and the other one is also in a string, we will get 11. Because the program is acting like the numbers are letters, are a string. For example, if I write down h and write down I in here, you can see that hi. So this is how print works in Python. Mathematical operations in Python are very simple. We have plus, minus, divide, and multiplication. We can perform mathematical operation directly from print as shown. 1 plus 1, 2, or we can specify that x equal 10, z equal 19, print z multiply x multiply z, 190. We also can add them, subtract, and divide. The result is out here. This is very simple mathematical operation. We have power of, we have percentage, and many other more. In Python, we have 4 different data types: an integer, a float, a string, and a boolean. A boolean is a true or a false statement. How can we check the type of a variable? Simply, we can print, then type. We write down type like this. Type is a pre-built function in Python which checks the data type or any value that we add in here. So if I write down type number 1 or any other number, run, it's an integer. If I write down 2.2, it's a float. However, if I want to check x, simply I write down x, it's an integer, y, it's a float, z is a string, and finally a is a bool. In Python we have 2 types of comments. One line comment which starts with a hashtag. This is a comment. And multiple line comment which can be like this or with a quotation, 6 different quotations. If we run the program, nothing will be shown in here since all of these are comments. We can use comments after the code itself. Print 1. This is a print statement. And we can simply print the 1 and the comment will not be shown. This is a list in Python which is also known as an array. If we print the type of the list, we can see that this is a list. Now if we print the list itself, we will get all the values or the data that is available inside the list. If we want specifically to print number 1, we can specify it in here simply by typing 0, since Python starts reading from 0. Run it, and here we go, we have a 1. If we want to print the last digit, we can simply write down -1. We have a 10. If we want to print out 5 different numbers, we can simply specify this by 0, 5, like this. I'll be showing a simple example on using for loop in Python. So we have the list of numbers, the array in here, and we want to use a for loop to print each number on a line by itself. So for xn, list of numbers, print x. Simple as that. As you can see, we have each number on a line by itself. Okay, let's suppose now we have a 2D array. And we print the for loop again. As you can see, we will have each inside array by a line by itself. But how can we print each number by a line? For this, we will create another for loop inside the for loop, which is called a nested loop. Therefore, we write down for any variable, for example y, in list in x, print y. As you can see, we have the numbers, each number on a line by itself, because we are using double for loop, which is also known as a nested loop. Another way to use a for loop is by specifying a range for it. When it reaches the range, it will stop. For example, for x in range 10, print x, print x. We can see that x is printed out 10 different times since we start from 0 in Python. One other way to use a for loop is by having an array list equal a, b. For x in range 10, print list. As you can see now, the list is printed out in here. But if we want to print a, b, each on a separate line, we can create another for loop in here for y in list, print y. We have a, b, 10 different times. AB is 1, AB2, AB3, 10 different times. While loop is one of the most enjoyable loops in Python. Simply, we write down while and we specify a statement. While Python or the program don't reach that statement, it will continue. But whenever the statement is reached, break out from the loop. So, while x is not equal 0, if x is not equal 10, while x is not equal 10, print x. And we specify x equal 0. If we start the program now, it will enter in an endless loop since we don't have a breakout statement. As you can see, it's running forever now. I will stop the program. We can simply stop this by adding 1 to x whenever it prints out the message. We can do that by simply typing x plus equal 1, which will add 1 to x. This is a better version to write your code instead of writing x equal 1 plus x, which acts the same as this one. Now, if we print x, we can see that x is 0 to 9, which is 10 because we start from 0. Unlike the other time in here, x was 0 and not reaching our breakout statement. Else if statement is very important to learn in Python, since every single program out there uses else if statements. We will create a very straightforward if-else statement. So firstly, let's set our x to 10. We will say that if our x is bigger than 20, print x is bigger than 20. Else, if x, else print x is smaller than 20. So the program will check if x is bigger than 20. If it's bigger than 20, we will have this message out on the screen, but if it's not, then x is smaller than 20. If we run the program, we can see that x is smaller than 20. Now if we set our x to 21, it will be x is bigger than 20. Now we want to check if x is not bigger than 20, then check if x is bigger than 10. We can add elif, which stands for else if in here. elif, x is bigger than 10, print x is bigger than 10 but smaller than 20. 21, x is bigger than 20. If we set our x to 11, x is bigger than 10 but smaller than 20. Else if we have x equal to 9, x is smaller than 20. One thing to be aware in Python that if you set your x to 40 and you want to know if your x using an if statement bigger than 30, using this structure in here, Python will act as x is bigger than 20 since Python runs its script from the first line to the end. If we run the program, as you can see, x is bigger than 20. Python didn't reach the elif statement, but if we specify the 30 in here, if we set the first if statement to 30 and the elif to 20, x is bigger than 20. We can see that x is bigger than 30. To create a function in Python, we should start by defining our function def, naming our function name, open bracket, close bracket, and write whatever we want inside our function. For example, we want, whenever this function is called, to print out a simple message, hi. Then we should call our function in here, because if we don't call our function when we run the program, nothing will be printed out. We can call the function simply by typing the function name, open, close bracket. Run the program again. As you can see, the function is working. We can use functions also to make our life easier. For example, we can create a function that adds to number whenever it's called. We pass an agreement in here which is x, so every time this function is called, please x plus 10. We should return this one. Now we simply print out the function add and pass our x, for example 10. As you can see, the result is 20. If we change in here our x 30, the result will be 40. We can change the plus, the addition sign, to minus, subtraction, 20, multiplication, and any other mathematical operation. One use case example is creating a calculator that contains addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication using 4 different functions. Taking user input in Python is very simple and easy. Simply, we write down input and the message that the user will see. Please enter a number. We create a variable that takes the user input, for example x equal, and we print out the user input. Run the program, please enter a number, 10. Here we have our 10. Now we want to add a small message before printing out the number. So we open a string, your number is, we go out of the string, we do a plus sign, then x. We run the program again, please enter a number, 14, your number is 14. Python by default have pre-built functions such as max, minimum, length, and round. To use them, we will create a list of numbers, list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we will do a print statement. So print me the maximum number inside the list, which is 5. Let's run the program. 5. Print me the minimum number, 1, print me the length of the list, which is 5, since we have 5 different elements. If we add more element, we will have 6. And finally, let's use round. Let's make list equal to 1 point, different numbers, and we want to round this to 2 decimal places. 1.22, round it to 5 different decimal places. As we can see, 5 different decimal places.